Okay. Well, welcome back. We have a fine program for you. It's a pleasure tonight to welcome our first guest. His songs such as Country Roads and Rocky Mountain High are now considered to be American classics. This is his latest album, right here, John Denver's Greatest Hits, Volume 3. Please welcome John Denver. Nice to see you.
Well, it's great to see you, Dave. I enjoy your show an awful lot, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you here.
Thanks.
Just got back from a trip.
When I said I was happy to be here, I didn't mean just the show. I've been in the Soviet Union for a couple of weeks, and then one day in China. And when it feels great for me, I feel like coming home to New York. I must have been gone.
Yeah.
So I've been gone, and I'm happy to be here.
Where were you in the Soviet Union?
I was in Moscow and in Leningrad.
Yeah. And was this just a vacation?
No, I went over there to sort of introduce myself to the powers that be, or at least at the level I had a chance to contact them.
Now, how do they react to that? Well, I mean, how do you set that up? You call our State Department and you say...
No, this was not through the State Department. We have no cultural agreement between these two countries right now.
Yeah.
So this was a private initiative, and there were about 5 of us who worked on it very hard for the last 9 months.
So, now, explain to me what the initial process is. Somebody... A letter is sent, I'm assuming, to somebody.
Well, no, we had a friend over there, a fellow whose name is Jim Hickman, who's been in the Soviet Union about 15 times in the last 10 years. He went over there, first of all, with Michael Murphy from Esalen, and made a lot of friends, has been going back quite often to do whatever he can to further relationships between people in the West and in the Soviet Union. So we got to know Jim, and he suggested that what we needed to do to get there at this time was to garner an invitation from someone. And
you know, that's the tough part. How do you weasel an invitation from these folks?
Well, it is difficult.
Yeah.
And who we spoke to was someone who we thought we would have a relationship with, and that was the Union of Composers in the Soviet Union.
The Union of Composers. Now, did they say, oh, John Denver, sure, well, he can come. We know John. Are they familiar with you and your work?
Well, as a matter of fact, they were a little familiar with me, and we found that around Moscow, just about every other person knows my name, although they're not so familiar with my work. They just know me as being from the West, an American singer. I sing about the environment, things like that.
Yeah. And you found that the people, by and large, were friendly?
Always.
Yeah.
In every circumstance, they were very, very warm to me.
What is the food like there?
Not so good.
Yeah. What would be a good meal for you? One that you remember as being, well, that was not too bad.
Well, I'm not sure that I had a good meal in Moscow. In Leningrad, there was some pretty great food in the hotel. They have borscht is a wonderful thing. The cabbage soup, although it has sort of a meat base. I lost my vegetarian diet over there.
Yeah.
I hope to get back on it pretty quick.
Is it a lot of boiled meat-like stuff?
Not boiled. It's fried and like that. They have a chicken that's a mashed chicken.
Mashed chicken. Ooh.
I promise. It's like they take They
chicken masher, sure.
It's mashed. The bones are all crushed in it, and that's one of the better things that you can get in Moscow.
The bones are still in this mash?
Oh, yes,
And do you consume the bones? Or
well, no, you try to get around them. This is a difficult thing to do.
You're sure this wasn't fish?
No, I'm very positive. They have a fish in China now that is the best tasting fish I've ever eaten, but there's so many bones in it that it's not any fun to eat because it's just
a lot of work for.
Well, it's a lot of work, and for someone like me, I just am petrified about getting a bone caught in my throat.
Yeah. Do you know the Heimlich maneuver?
I do know the Heimlich maneuver.
You know,
I'm not sure that would help with it.
Well, it might. I mean, what else can you do?
Well, you got to do something, that's for sure. You eat bread if you swallow it.
Yeah, but that may just get it lodged farther down in there. I think it's
you know
Heimlich.
The kind of nightmares I have?
Really?
The only nightmares that I have is I'm getting ready to go on tour. You know, maybe it's the week or so before I go on a tour. And I'm just being introduced, and I'm still in the shower.
Yeah.
Worse than that, I'm being introduced, and there's a bone in my throat from the meal that I had before.
Yeah. I have a nightmare. I don't know. I'll share it with you if you like. I come home every night to my house where I live, and I'm greeted at the door by a sumo wrestler. We're going to do a commercial here, but we'll be right back with John Denver. John Denver is here, just back from the Soviet Union. You were over there with the Muppets, is that right?
Well, Jim Henson, who's a dear friend for many years now.
Yeah, people are laughing, but you actually, you did a show, or?
Well, yes, actually, I like Kermit a lot more than I do Jim, but they were both over there, and he's done a television series of 10 shows, I think, about famous puppeteers around the world. And there was one in the Soviet Union, an old man who was really quite wonderful, I thought, and I can't remember his name. But being there together, we got together. We were both at the Spasa House, which is the ambassador's residence in Moscow, for Thanksgiving. And then they asked us if we would do something for all the children of the diplomatic community for on a Saturday morning. And so we got together about a half an hour before this was supposed to start and talked over some songs we could do together, and then just did it off the cuff, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, turned out nice.
Very, very nice.
Now, how about officials? Soviet officials, did you?
Well, I met a few officials, certainly the people from the Composers Union who were responsible for my being there. I met the fellow who is the head of the United States desk, or the cultural desk at the foreign ministry. And he's going to be the guy that's heading the delegation that comes to the United States to work on opening up these cultural exchange. And we became pretty good friends. I think he really admired my music. That was great. I met a fellow named Leonov who was up on the Apollo-Soyuz flight.
A cosmonaut, this guy?
Yes. He's been up in space a couple times. I think his first name is Vladimir, but I'm not sure.
But another safe guess for the Soviet Union, yeah. Ivan maybe would be another good guess. Now, are these guys taken pretty good care of, the cosmonauts? Are they in? They
are. I went to Star City, and
Star City?
That's what it's called, the place where they do all their launches from, and where they do all the training and like that. And it's like going to a military base, I think, here in the States. And there were a couple of beautiful apartment buildings that the cosmonauts stay in, and you can see the other offices and training facilities around. Went to a museum, and he showed me personally through all the stuff that they had, the museum, the whole of Star City's history. And, you know, Yuri Gagarin was the first guy to go into space. And you see him everywhere. He was killed at the age of 37 in a plane crash. And so there's a great deal of sorrow, and they hold him in very fond remembrance, almost like Lenin there. But anyway, Leonov and I, we were walking around this museum, and he was showing me the different things that were in the museum from his flight with Apollo-Soyuz. One of the things he showed me was what our astronauts wore and what the cosmonauts wore, and what our astronauts ate and what the cosmonauts ate. And in the process of this, I asked him if they had any caviar and vodka up there.
Thinking this was a joke.
Well, yeah, I thought so. And he said, oh, no, of course not. We couldn't have anything like that in space. So we walked on to some other parts of the exhibit, and pretty soon he says, I'll tell you a secret. And we went back to this thing, and he showed me the tubes that they had their food in were actually tubes. Ours are like plastic packets that are sealed all the way around. But theirs are tubes like a toothpaste tube. You take it out and you squeeze whatever it is out. So he said that he emptied a couple of tubes and filled them with vodka for the flight up.
All right.
And then at one point during the mission, when they were all together, he said to the astronauts, to Tom Stafford, he says, we must have a toast for what we are doing here together for our two countries. And I have brought some vodka. And the astronaut said, no, we can't do that. We can't do that on a mission. Are you kidding? And he said, well, you know, as a pilot, I can relate to that. You don't drink and drive.
Probably not a good idea.
But Mr. Leonov, who has a wonderful sense of humor, and was a very warm man, he pushed this a great deal. And so pretty soon he said, I brought these things, and we must have it done. So finally they were ready, and he unscrewed one of them and shoved it in his mouth, and it was borscht. And so after all of this and finally agreeing, it got a pretty good laugh from them, and then they pulled out another one, and each of them had 10 grams to toast their mission.
So they had a little vodka?
They had a little vodka and a little caviar.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's a great story. What are we going to do? All right. I notice you have the guitar here, and that that must mean you're going to do something with it.
If you'd like, I can. I don't have to.
No, we would like you to do that.
Can I do anything I want?
Anything you like.
The song that I did over there that got the greatest reception from the people, it was interesting to me. The two things that they enjoyed most talking about were peace, most of all, and hunger in the world. And so this is a song that I wrote about both of them that I have done over the last couple of years around the world, in some 25 countries, to close my concerts. And I did it there to a wonderful reception. It was called It's About Time. There's a full moon over India, and Gandhi lives again. Who's to say you have to lose for someone else to win? In the eyes of all the people, the look's much the same. For the first is just the last one. When you play a deadly game, it's about time we realize it. We're all in this together. It's about time we find out it's all of us or none. It's about time we recognize it. These changes in the weather. It's about time. It's about changes. And it's about time. There's a light in the Vatican window for all the world to see. And a voice cries in the wilderness. Sometimes he speaks for me. I suppose I love him most of all when he kneels to kiss the land. With his lips upon our mother's breast, he makes his strongest stand. It's about time we start to see it. The earth is our only home. It's about time we start to face it. We can't make it here all alone. It's about time we start to listen to the voices in the wind. It's about time. It's about changes. It's about time. There's a man who is my brother. I just don't know his name. But I know his home and family, because I know we feel the same. And it hurts me when he's hungry and when his children cry. I too am a father, and that little one is mine. It's about time we begin it, to turn the world around. It's about time we start to make it the dream we've always known. It's about time we start to live it. The family is man. It's about time. It's about changes. It's about time. It's about peace, and it's about plenty, and it's about time. It's about you and me together, and it's about time.
Very nice, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Nice to have you back. Thanks for being here. Here's the call for Station Night Edification.